Weight control. With a jump from 62% to nearly 78% of the population of the U.S. now considered overweight in just the last 25 years, who ever thought that weight control and weight management would occupy so much of our thinking? Dieting has become a lifelong, stressful pursuit for most people. That is, until now. The following presentation by Dr. Sal Martingano is about Calarad, a unique product made by Essentially Yours Industries Incorporated. Calarad represents the most incredible approach to weight management ever discovered. Dr. Martingano is a renowned motivational public speaker with years of radio and media experience into the alternative approaches to healthcare. His exciting and educational approach will make this an enjoyable experience for all. Essentially Yours Industries presents Dr. Sal Martingano.
Hi, my name is Dr. Sal Martingano, and within the next half hour, you and I will be exploring the most revolutionary, cutting-edge information on weight management you'll ever hear. After years of research and clinical experience as a chiropractor, I have seen the anguish and the frustrations that people go through to simply look better or feel better about their bodies. Most have tried just about every diet known to man, only to be disappointed that their hard-earned weight losses had returned, plus some unwanted extra weight. Can some of you relate to this story? I know I can. Well, this problem, whether you realize it or not, it goes a lot deeper than just weight loss and how you feel. The balance of this tape has been devoted to a product that can help people fulfill their dreams of true weight management, and that product is called Calarad. Let me first say that I will not be talking about a diet program or even about eating a well-balanced diet along with proper exercise. Why? Because diets do not work, no matter what they claim. Sure, you can lose weight on any particular diet, but in the end, how does your body react to that weight loss? First of all, let me begin by explaining to you how diets work. Traditional diet programs, no matter what they are, from the grapefruit diet, the Atkins diet, the Stillman diet, the low-carbohydrate diet, or even the Weight Watchers diet, one thing is common to all of them. You are either losing weight by starvation or by deprivation. Starvation refers to just plain eating less calories, or a low-fat diet in order to lose weight, while deprivation refers to eliminating or choosing only specific food groups to change how your body assimilates the fat. In theory, they all work, but in the final outcome, the body gets its revenge. Now think about it. What if you were accustomed to living on a $200 income per week, but were forced suddenly to live on only a $100 a week income because you wanted perhaps to save money or you lost your regular job? After several months of money deprivation, things change and your lifestyle seems to return to normal. Now, what happens when you return to your normal $200 lifestyle? Now, if you're like most, you'll go on a little bit of a spending binge in order to make up for the time and the money that you lost. In other words, you'll try to return to normal, but you'll make sure that you have a little bit extra just in case your income tends to drop again. Well, that's exactly what the body does and how it reacts to sudden weight loss due to starvation or deprivation. You not only regain the weight that you lost, but you usually end up with a little extra weight to boot. Sounds familiar? Do you remember the popular diet commercial that featured that famous baseball manager? They first pictured him fat. Then several months later, almost 40 pounds slimmer. Well, guess what happened? That person tended to gain back every pound that he lost, plus some extra, after returning back to his normal diet, the one that was best suited for him. Well, needless to say, he's not advertising that product anymore. But that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Each of us have our normal diets that we follow. When we attempt to follow someone else's diet program, even if it's good for us, the body will not allow us to suddenly change diets without a fight. Remember, you have already established your normal over a period of years. How is several months of dietary change going to change your normal? You see, it can't. unless you totally change your normal lifestyle as well. But who wants to live on a perpetual diet? You see, simply put, diets cannot work for weight management unless they completely change the normals for your body. The act of losing weight really doesn't matter, folks. Keeping it off does. So the real decision in weight management is not the weight, but how do you change your normal values and body perception? So far, I've said nothing that you haven't really heard before, right? Well, let me put this in perspective for you in terms of how the body reacts to weight loss. 1. Let's go on a low-calorie diet and see what happens, just for the fun of it. Now, this is a diet specifically of starvation, since you are changing the amount of available energy in terms of calories that you're taking in. Now, your body will begin to look for other energy sources to make up the difference. And since none are available, you are also exercising more, perhaps to speed up that process. The body is going to begin to convert the available carbohydrates that you have into energy instead of making proteins like it's supposed to. Now, having used up a lot of the carbohydrates in your body, the body now begins to reduce the protein synthesis in order to conserve energy. And the result is a loss of body mass. Now you can say, hooray! For the first time, I'm finally getting a response. I'm losing body mass and dropping weight. The truth is, however, the loss of weight is also in muscle, tendon, ligament, as well as fat. Everything is wasting away by this process. Now, by now, your body is sending you some danger signals. Things like fatigue, irritability, loss of concentration. Now, people begin to say, boy, John, you've lost a lot of weight, but you look terrible. The truth is, you feel terrible, and therefore abandon your low-calorie diet just to feel better. But now the body says, well, it's about time, John. What the heck was that all about? We've lost 30% of our muscle mass and 50% of our reserves of energy. What were you trying to do to us? Ah, finally, here come some calories. Great. Now we can rebuild ourselves again. Thanks, John. Oh, if it's okay with you, we're going to add a few extra pounds of reserve energy just in case this happens again. Is that okay? You get the point. Let's try something different. Let's try a low-fat diet. See what happens. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole procedure again, just the important parts. A sudden loss of fat means that your dependency on carbohydrates and proteins have to go up. Now, fat, carbohydrates, and proteins are staples of our existence. Therefore, a low-fat diet is a diet of deprivation. Usable calories for energy comes from sugars that's stored in the fat. So if fats are suddenly taken away, the body will then turn to the carbohydrates for its energy. But here's where you lose. You see, what no one has ever told you was that when you restrict fat, your increase of carbohydrates increases. Now, increasing carbohydrates forces the body to produce more insulin, which causes the body to actually increase fat accumulations. So in essence, a low-fat diet actually makes you fat. Sounds ridiculous? Well, it's not. Don't think for a moment that the food industry doesn't know this. They know that people will lose some weight by restricting their fat intake, but they also know that the psychological effects of a low-fat diet is that you can actually eat more food. Why? Because it's low-fat. Wrong. Let's try a different one and see what happens. Let's try a low-carbohydrate diet. Now, low-carbohydrate diets forces the body in most cases to conserve the fat energies that it already has. Otherwise, it would have to start using protein to make energy, which is very inefficient for the body. Now, once the carbohydrates are at minimal levels, the body begins to start using the fat. Then, eventually, the proteins to maintain the proper energy forces for your body. Now, guess what happens? You actually begin to lose weight. But the loss of protein also reduces the muscle mass in your body and the ability to rebuild and repair itself. So what you're actually losing is muscle, as well as fat. And that's not really a good idea. Let's try one more and see if this will work. Let's go on a high-protein diet. Now, this is the least desirable diet that you can possibly go on. And the theory is that it takes more body caloric energy to digest proteins than carbohydrates or fat. Therefore, you lose weight by burning more calories in the process of protein synthesis. Now, unless you have a rare body type that can deal with increased protein metabolism, the problem is that increasing protein synthesis produces an excess of what we call keto acids in the body, which can't get through the kidneys fast enough and often results in kidney stones, bad breath, or even toxemia. Okay, do you get the point at this point in time? All diets are harmful to the average body if they starve or deprive the body of what's natural to it. And also keep in mind that over the last 20 years, there have been dozens of diet plans that have claimed to be the best and the last word in diets. Well, where are they now? And if they really worked, how come we're always trying to find new ones? What I'm about to tell you about weight management is simple to understand, congruent with the natural laws of nature, and has nothing to do with diets at all. You see, as a chiropractor in a busy practice, I've noticed that approximately 5 to 7% of my patients never seem to get well. They're faithful to their adjustment schedules, but never seem to hold the corrective adjustments long enough. No more than a few days or perhaps a week. Now, I wondered why the vast majority of my patients, however, do so well, while this small percentage of people never do well. And the problem I found was not in what I was doing, or even what the patient was doing. The problem was in the lack of proper ligament, tendon, and muscle integrity within that person's body. In other words, the body lacked the holding power of the ligaments to keep things together. After years of research, I finally found the answer. It appears that these few people are not converting enough collagen, which is the building matrix for body repair, into strong ligaments, tendons, and muscles. Oftentimes, these people look and act just like any other person. So, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that these people either do not have enough collagen in their systems, or they can't assimilate the collagen that they actually have. So I think it's important at this point to take a look at what collagen really is. So let's take a brief look. Collagen comes primarily from meat products, usually beef connective tissue. Collagen is also essential in the formation of strong muscles, tendons, ligaments, skin, hair, and just about anything else we need. The lack of collagen causes the skin to hang, causes wrinkles to form, nails to break, and in general, body weakness, simply because the body can't repair itself properly. So collagen is used in protein synthesis to combine with the energy source, which is fat, to produce the necessary proteins that the body needs to cause the repair of the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, and all of the other things that's necessary for the body. So now that we have collagen, let's find out how the body actually does the repair. Almost all body repair takes place during the alpha phase of the brain's sleep cycle, the first several hours of sleep. The process involves the body shifting gears from the awakened beta cycle of brain behavior that takes place during the day to a restful rejuvenation rebuilding behavior during sleep. Now, during this period of sleep, the body takes the opportunity and takes the available collagen and other vital nutrients and converts them into new body materials. This process takes an enormous amount of caloric energy in order to complete. And that's why you sometimes, even when you wake up in the morning, if you've noticed, that sometimes you're actually a few pounds lighter. What's actually happened was that you burned off some calories by metabolism to make new body parts for repair during sleep. Therefore, if you're deficient in collagen, you can't burn off the fat or repair the body very effectively. Now, with this in mind, I'd like to dedicate the rest of this tape to the most intriguing discovery I've ever come across, and one that I know will revolutionize bodybuilding and rebuilding and weight management forever. In 1984, Michel Griset, a Canadian scientist, was asked to formulate a product that would eliminate the fatty syndrome in poultry. The reason was that fat chickens stopped laying eggs. So the result was a collagen-based formula that actually diminished the fat while increasing the lean muscle mass, which in turn increased egg production and made for healthier chickens. So the Canadian beef, poultry, and dairy industries also experienced the same results with the formula. Now, this formula worked wonders on animals, but did not work on humans. So Michel decided to reformulate the product for humans and actually tried it on himself first. And once again, the results were spectacular. thousands of people have since lost fat and inches while preserving and rebuilding lean muscle. Something no other substance could ever do.
This is the end of Side 1. Fast forward the tape to Side 2 to complete your Calorad experience.
That secret formula was called Calorad. It's a collagen-based formula, 100% safe and effective in humans. In fact, Calorad's primary objective was to rebuild strong connective tissue. But as an unexpected side effect, it allowed the body to lose weight and inches without sacrificing muscle mass, something no other product can do. The result is that I now have a natural product that gives new hope to those patients hopelessly stuck in the non-healing mode, with the added side effect of permanent weight control and weight management through metabolism, not the usual starvation or deprivation diet programs. Weight loss is not as important as body composition. We need to use a tape measure instead of a scale. We want muscle, since it's the body's mechanism that burns the calories that we consume. Regular diets lose muscle as well as fat. No wonder they don't work. Now, let's see if we can look at the difference. If we lose 10 pounds of fat and gain 11 pounds of muscle, what have we accomplished by these two things? Well, 1, we will burn more calories per day per pound. 2, we will have lost 3 3/4 inches of body mass per pound. Now that's true weight control. Well, sounds too good to be true? Well, this time it is good, and it is true. So what do we have to do? Well, first of all, Calorad is not a magic bullet to weight loss, and it's not a license to eat a whole cheesecake. It's merely a better way of metabolizing your fat, the way nature does, the way you were when you were a child. You see, as a child, we produced large amounts of growth hormone, which causes the body to convert and metabolize stored energy into the body and made it into muscle, tendon, and ligaments for growth. Aha, see, sounds familiar. But as adults, growth hormone stops, leaving us the option of using collagen instead of growth hormone to complete the same task. And not all collagen products do the same job. Calorad does. So how do you use Calorad? 1, Calorad is not a meal replacement. You need to eat 3 regular meals per day with the normal caloric intake of at least 1,000 to 1,500 calories. You see, there is no need to limit your calories. Number 2, there is also no need to really increase your exercise program, since you'll be burning calories by metabolism, not work. 3, you need to drink a minimum of 8 glasses of plain water over the course of your day. Now, this is absolutely vital. In fact, you should be doing this anyway, regardless of the program. 4, simply take 1 tablespoon of Calorad, which is about 2 capfuls, plus 8 ounces of water, just before falling asleep. Now, this is very crucial. Remember, you want to catch the beginning of the alpha cycle of your sleep. That means you have to do everything first, then take your Calorad. Now, the only real requirement is that you must have an empty stomach. That means you must stop all eating 3 hours before taking your Calorad. That's if you had a full meal. 2 hours for a salad, perhaps, or a light snack. And finally, the entire program is based on a 3-month cycle. That means everyone is different, and your personal results are going to vary. Besides, nature works best over time. You can't really rush Mother Nature. And that's it. That's it. Hard to believe? Well, remember, you are doing what the body is naturally doing. You are changing metabolic function, not going on a diet. That's why it works. Now, are there any side effects perhaps to Calorad? Weight loss is the only side effect of Calorad. What a deal! Now, Calorad's primary effect, remember, is to stimulate the body to rebuild muscles, tendons, and ligaments. And since this process does not interfere with any other bodily function, it has no effect on medications, cholesterol, insulin, or anything else for that matter. Well, Are there any conditions, perhaps, which you can't take Calarad? Pregnant or lactating women should not take Calarad. Neither should prepubescent children, unless prescribed by a doctor for conditions where there's perhaps a deficiency in growth hormone. The reason is that both conditions already involve large amounts of natural growth hormone. And of course, when in doubt, always consult your doctor first. Now let me give you some interesting things that might happen after using Calarad. One, you might actually experience a slight weight gain at first. Why? Because muscle weighs more than fat, and the initial conversion of fat to lean muscle can result in momentary weight gain. But don't worry, it quickly reverses and goes in the other direction. Two, if you don't seem to be losing weight after 30 days, remember, the object is to convert fat by metabolism and protein synthesis into lean muscle. Your body might simply decide to change its appearance first. That means that you have to judge Calarad with a tape measure, not a scale. The weight that begins to drop off will take place in its own time and when it's good and ready and not before. That's why it's a 3-month program. 3, weight loss can sometimes be quite dramatic and very sudden. But don't worry, your body is doing what's perfectly natural for itself and in its own time. Now, unlike crash diets, losing fat to metabolism simply uses the fat and doesn't hurt the body at all. So, just enjoy the ride. The last part of this tape will be devoted to why some people can never lose weight or lose inches no matter what they do, and you know that they exist. And the reason lies in 2 very important concepts. 1, you must have a functioning thyroid gland. Why? Because the thyroid gland controls all body metabolism. Therefore, if whether you know you have a thyroid problem or not, it would be prudent to have it checked before you start any serious weight management program. And once the thyroid is under control or monitored successfully with thyroid medication, you can begin your Calarad experience. Due to the use of antibiotics and drugs in this country, we have changed the natural body chemistry and flora of our gut and intestinal tract. Therefore, all the good and necessary body bacteria and microbes have been reduced or in some cases destroyed altogether. This has led to a silent infestation of yeast, better known as Candida albicans. Now, Candida is totally devastating to the body and should only occur when the body's good bacteria is no longer present to keep the yeast in check. Now, Candida is most famous for things like vaginal yeast infections or skin rashes, but the hidden effects are far more devastating. Yeast coats the stomach and the intestines and other organs with a thick layer of mucus. Now, this mucus coats the cilia, or the outer linings of the organs, and effectively stops the transfer of nutrients in and out of the body. Therefore, you take in food, but you absorb very little of it. The result is you always feel hungry, and eventually overeat, which causes further accumulations of excess fat. Candida is also a nightmare to get rid of. In fact, there has been no medication that effectively gets rid of the Candida. It only controls it. In essence, if you have yeast in your system, it becomes very difficult to achieve weight management. And you'll never lose weight and probably gain a few pounds per year no matter what you do. Again, sounds familiar? See, once again, thanks to Essentially Yours Industries, Agrecept has been developed. Agrecept is a synergistic blend of natural antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-yeast properties found in citrus. This biological formula has been developed from the seeds of grapefruits, lemons, and tangerines, and literally wipes out all non-wanted bacteria and microbes from the body. Now, the amount of yeast you have in your system will determine how quickly it can be removed. And a quick way to determine how much yeast you have in your system is to do a very simple test. Yeast can be detected in saliva. So here's what you do. Simply put a glass of water on your nightstand for the morning. And the first thing you do in the morning is to gather some saliva that you have in your mouth, nothing else, and spit it into the glass. Now, don't shake the glass, but within minutes, if there is any yeast in your saliva, it'll quickly clump together and begin to fall down into the water and form in the form of like tentacles, like from a jellyfish. That's what it'll look like. If there's no yeast in your system, the saliva will simply disperse on the top. Now the correction is to put 10 drops of Agricept in any juice of your choice. Agricept is somewhat bitter, but it's tasteless in orange juice or some other juices. So what you do is take 10 drops of Agricept 3 times per day before meals until the yeast is cleared up. I suggest only taking that spit test several times per week. Now, once the yeast is just about gone, you can begin your Calarad and enjoy the results. Do not combine the Calarad with the Agricept or take them at the same time because it will inhibit the functioning of the Calarad. There you have it, a winning formula for weight control and weight management that is not a dietary program at all and is not dependent on what you do or eat. In fact, all you have to do is sleep. Now keep in mind that Calarad has superb bodybuilding qualities as well, and a major segment of the Calarad users aren't really interested in weight loss at all. They want to help build a firmer, stronger body without the use of steroids or other harmful dietary aids. And for these people, the only change to make in your program is to take your Calarad in the morning, not at night, or 1/2 hour before beginning your workout. That's it. You'll not experience any weight loss since you're taking it in the beta cycle of your brain function, the daytime. Weight loss only occurs in the asleep or alpha cycle of your brain function, but you will enhance firmer muscles, tendons, and ligaments. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Just remember, nature is nothing to fool around with. It knows what it wants and wants what it needs in order to produce optimum health. The last 50 years have been pretty rough on the body. Medications, although truly life-saving at times, have taken their toll on the body's metabolic system. The next 50 years is up to you and me. See, we need to recognize that we have the power and the technology to complement medicine. A stronger, leaner body increases the immune response. It maintains body metabolism and decreases the wear and tear on all body parts. So the choice is ours, and that choice should include Calarad. This is Dr. Sal Martingano wishing you a healthier, slimmer body nature's way. Good luck, and God bless.
If you would like any further information about other Essentially Yours products, or if you would like to learn more about the purchase and use of Calarad and Agricept, simply contact the associate that gave you this tape for additional information.